Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Jermell Charlo and Terence Bud Crawford get into it. Let's just break it down honestly and objectively. And Terence Bud Crawford comes out and tweets at Jermell Charlo and tells him to keep my name out your mouth. Jermell Charlo since responded and said, you know what it is, I'm going to let you make it. I think you a cool fighter, but don't bite off more than you can chew. Line's different. And honestly, I personally believe you cannot mess with Errol Spence Jr. Keep my name out your mouth. Terence Crawford responded, you too shall see, but don't make me show you who the real king of the jungle is, because it ain't no lion. But carry on, like I said, keep my name out your mouth, because when you see me, it's what's up, this and that. Stop faking for attention. Jermell Charlo responds, never was made for lip wrestling. I'm about that action. Always on call. So it looks like these two dudes, wore the words. These guys are looking like they want some smoke with each other, possibly. It looks like it's out there lingering. So, I probably got maybe thousands of questions about this, saying, hey, who do you think wins? Who wins this fight? How does this fight go? So I say, look, let me just break it down honestly and objectively about it, because a lot of people are saying that Charlo washes Crawford. Some people said Crawford stands no chance. So I'm going to just be 100% real about the fight and be objective about the fight. And we start with Jermell Charlo's biggest win and loss, which is to the same fighter. We go to Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison, Tony Harrison has 3 losses, and all of them are by knockout. He was knocked out by Jarrett Hurd, Willie Nelson, and Jermell Charlo. He has a fragile chin. And if you think about it, this guy who has a fragile chin, who's been knocked out every time he's lost, he went 12 rounds and beat Jermell Charlo in the first fight. So, Jermell couldn't even cut the ring off, couldn't show a good level of skill to do it. His trainer on the sideline, Derek James, was screaming at him, hey, just attack him, attack him. No actual true significant instruction. I believe Derek James is a hindrance to the growth of a Jermell Charlo. Yeah, you have him sitting down on his shots, but if you have him throwing power shots and unable to cut the ring off, what does that show you? And this is against a guy whose chin has always been weak. I mean, think about it like this. He's been knocked out by Willie Nelson. Come on. Jarrett Hurd is a very aggressive, predictable power puncher. So, imagine if you had some semblance of skills, he could have boxed around it. Tony Harrison simply couldn't get away from those 2 guys. So, you can't take much stock in that. And Tony Harrison came in, beat him, took his belt, and outboxed him in the first fight. The second fight, Tony Harrison was outboxing him more significantly. He was even walking him down. And the funny thing is, he started getting cocky, and then he got caught. So what happens when, a lot of people are saying, oh, Jermell Charlo went in there and did what he had to do. It shouldn't have been a close fight. The first fight was supposed to be a showcase fight. The first fight was supposed to be a blowout. Jermell Charlo was supposed to knock out Tony Harrison within 6 rounds in the first fight, but instead he went the distance and lost the fight. But instead, in the second fight, he got walked down. He looked gassed. He was breathing hard. He was breathing heavy. He was unable to cut the ring off until Tony Harrison got cocky. Until Tony Harrison got cocky and then got exposed, let his chin open, and got stopped. It's just really that simple. Now, if you think that Bud Crawford has a weak chin, if you think that Bud Crawford is going to get cocky in the middle of a fight and not stay focused, then you don't know who Bud Crawford is. Let me break it down. Bud Crawford's a better boxer than Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is a mediocre boxer who has trouble cutting off the ring. Terence Crawford has better footwork, which is going to make it even more difficult for Jermell Charlo to cut off the ring. Bud Crawford has great endurance. You've never seen him gassed out in the fight. Bud Crawford is more versatile and has more than one way to win. He can break you down with body shots. He can fight on the outside. Bud Crawford can do more than one thing to win a fight. Jermell Charlo will only need the knockout to win. That's the only thing he's going to go for. That's the only thing he can do. He can't outbox him. He can't do anything else. He's going to be the slower fighter, the fighter with the worst footwork. Jermell Charlo only has one way to win the fight. And the way I look at it is the Wilder effect, the Deontay Wilder effect. And what I mean by that is a lot of people look at it and say, oh, he's the bigger puncher, he's going to win. That's how you know you're a casual to the sport and you know nothing about boxing. But let's just be honest about it. And then you also go to the mental edge. Who has the mental edge between Jermell Charlo and Terence Crawford. You have to give it to Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is going to mentally abuse this guy, and similar to Gervonta Davis and his baby mama. And let me explain to you why. Because this is the same guy that was crying at a press conference over losing his belt to Tony Harrison. He didn't take it on the chin. He didn't say, I'll be back and I'll show the world. This dude literally sat there, a grown man, at a podium and cried because he lost to Tony Harrison. That already show you his mental vulnerabilities. He is not built for a guy like Terence Bud Crawford. Yes, Terence Crawford would be at some disadvantages moving up in weight, the size, the reach. But the problem with Jermell Charlo is he doesn't even know how to use those things adequately against a guy like Terence Crawford. So at the end of the day, I still have to pick Terence Crawford. He's an elite level fighter. He's a smarter fighter. He's the more skilled fighter, and he's the mentally strong fighter. But, I don't personally believe that fight is going to happen simply because I think Terence Crawford has his eyes on the prize at 147 with Errol Spence Jr. That's a fight that's been talked about. That's a big money fight, probably the biggest fight in boxing to be made at this moment. So, at this point, you see that fight is probably going to take priority over any other fight that, Terence Crawford could have and Errol Spence Jr. It's simply up to Errol Spence Jr. wanting to make the fight. It's simply up to Errol Spence Jr. actually taking the fight. See, what a lot of people don't realize is Bud Crawford's avoided for a reason. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP.